2019 Investment Week was hosted last week in the nation's capital, Port Moresby. The week consisted of several forums and trade expos that highlighted lucrative investment areas in Papua New Guinea. Visitors from Asia-Pacific attended the week-long event, which began with the 35th Australia-PNG Business Forum and Trade Expo, the second Speakers Investment Summit, the inaugural European Union and PNG Business Forum, and finally the 15th UN ESCAP Asia-Pacific Business Forum. Prime Minister James Marape at the Speakers Summit continued to elaborate on his government's stance about welcoming investors to invest in the country.
We're not about chasing our investors in the first place. Let me mention this one. For without investors in our country will not be on solid grounds. Chasing our investors is least in our mind when I continue to rattle on and ramble on about making our country the richest blacklisted nation on the face of planet Earth is not to really line the color of race, not to really run the color of religion, not to really run an arrogant statement, but I need to find a pitch where I rally around national pride. I need to find a pitch where every citizen believes in themselves. We intend to remove impediments in the system so that you have ease of doing business. Gone are the days where you think that a politician, you owe a favor to a politician for you to push your papers through. We want to remove impediments in the system so that your project submissions, your dealing with government is done with less blockages. And in this line of thought, we'll be looking to really expend big time on electronic way of doing business.
He stated that private sector must be independent and without government influence, but also that they must pay their fair share of tax. The Prime Minister also promised to follow through on a thorough check on IRC systems, adding that every revenue generated in this country must be brought back to this country, a move he thought was only natural and made no apologies to this.
We will also be doing forensic audit in our tax, and one of my first visits to a department as Prime Minister will be visit to IRC, so that I will check the system. IRC, in my view, has been collecting only from the same old collection spots. There are many people who are doing tax evasion in our economy. There are many people who are doing possible price transfer in our economy, and the books are being doctored in a way where they declare less tax. Let me warn you, your days are numbered. We are getting the best of the world to come ensure that they work with IRC to go into a very detailed forensic audit in the tax, and that will be retrospective to ensure that tax compliant. Our tax regime, in my view, is one of the best. If it is not the best, then our tax going forward will be doctored or tailored or incentivized so that those of you who are faithfully subscribing and paying your tax has a way out of these discussions, and you continue to pay your fair share of tax. We want to look into areas where every revenues generated in this country are brought back into our country. And I will hide this fact, I will not hide this fact from you. Every revenues generated in this country must be brought back into this country, and we will ask of you to consult with us and find how we can do this. Every revenues generated in this country must be brought back in, and from here in this country, you can remit back to your shareholders. Central Bank, you have to be responsive to this call. You have to create a facility in which you are able to handle remittance. I think it's about time our country, sitting at the cusp of 2020 and the decades of the 2020s, we must be modernized to ensure we handle this one. I believe the fairest call is that you harvest resource from us, you bring your returns to our source, and together we can split here in this country. It is the fairest ask of you. It is not unfair. And I make no apologies for making this statement.
Concluding his speech at the Speakers Summit, Prime Minister Marape announced that Manus will now be a corporate tax-free zone and invited the region's business community to start businesses there. This, he said, was due to the amount of negative exposure the province has received.
We'll be relooking at the map of our country to ensure that our country is divided into economic zones. Instead of just simply allocating budgets to provincial governments, we'll be allocating resources, and key interventions in infrastructure will be geared towards ensuring that the economic potential and propensity of that area is harvested, is grown. So we'll be relooking at our country in our economic map and to see what area is good for what sort of economic activities, and hopefully in the process, whoever government that comes into place in 2022 and beyond has a luxury of the benefits of the plans that we're putting in place, so that can also be used to drive growth in many areas. I feel life is bigger than just Port Moresby. Governor Parker, please excuse me for this. Life is bigger than just Port Moresby. I think the economic potential of our country lies in the entire 22 provinces. We just need to find them, and at this time, let me announce the Treasurer will be given indication. And just to give you some sort of indication as to where we might go, Manus will be declared as our first corporate tax-free zone in our country. You want to do business, go to Manus province, find your place there. So these are sort of areas we will do so. Give discount or waiver corporate tax, and we can also collect from the other areas. So I'm announcing that Manus will be a tax-free zone for our country for the amount of negative exposure Manus has been getting for a long, long time.
I'm Ian Jarari in Manila, and you're watching Business PNG. Thank you, Ms. Alisjahbana, for your time. Welcome to Port Moresby. I understand this is your first time here. What do you think of Papua New Guinea so far?
Thank you very much, Leanne. It's certainly a pleasure for me to be here, my first time to PNG and certainly to Port Moresby. I think it's been a fabulous the past 2 days.
All right. So I understand this is the 15th UN ESCAP Asia Pacific Business Forum, but this is the first time in the 15 years that it's been taking place that it's here in the Oceania. Why has it taken such a long time, and why is this such an opportune time to host it in PNG?
Well, I think this decision was, of course, by the board, yeah? By the board of this, the so-called ESCAP Sustainable Business Network, which comprises of business leaders across countries in our region. Right. Yeah, and I think the decision last year was to hold it in PNG, and of course it's a very good opportunity for the countries in the sub-region, but also for the rest, yeah? I mean, for countries in Asia Pacific to come here and to see firsthand the great potentials that the sub-region or the region has, and certainly that PNG has to offer, yeah? In terms of its, of course, resources, that's for sure, it's already known, well known, but also, yeah, fisheries, oceanic related resources or marine resources, and not to mention the beautiful sceneries that I've been informed, yeah, that you have, yeah. So in terms of tourism potentials.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. Many have dubbed this century the Asian century, and I believe, you know, an event like this with Asia Pacific businesses coming together and sort of connectivity network, it's, I guess, an opportune time as well, because there's growing influence from Asian countries, specifically, namely for Papua New Guinea and the region, China. So what is UN ESCAP stance about this, you know, I guess, geopolitical tensions that have surrounded some of the introduction or growing influence of countries like China in the Pacific?
Actually, yeah, what our focus is or are, yeah, is several, but basically how to deepen our regional cooperation, especially in development issues, yeah, and most importantly on sustainable development, because sustainable development goals are already a commitment countries in our region. So therefore, what we are advancing is cooperation as it relates to regional connectivity. That's one. Regional connectivity, of course, multimodal. Yeah, how to facilitate more. Yeah, the seamless connection across the countries in the region in terms of logistics. Yeah, transportation and so on. Second, trade facilitation. Also, the seamless movement or trade in goods and as well as services, and then several other priority areas, including related to this forum, the business, because without the private sector, the business, we cannot do or gain much. So this is the area of work. So more to advance cooperation that are of common interest for countries, and then also involving the other stakeholders. So not only government, So for example, this forum, right? Private sector, interface with government, with other stakeholders. So this is not so much, these potential issues or conflict as such,
I'm Leanne Durari in Brisbane, and you're watching Business PNG. Coincidentally, the APBF, UN ESCAP APBF has been hosted a couple of weeks after there was a new prime minister that has taken office, and here in Papua New Guinea, and sort of a reshuffling of the cabinet. Now, our new prime minister has come out and he's made it known that he is, his government is business friendly, investor friendly. He's also promised that his government will remain investor-friendly while also making sure that the revenue generated here in Papua New Guinea will return to Papua New Guinea. I think it's something that hasn't really been troublesome in the past. In your opinion, can perceived overt patriotism be a hindrance to investor confidence?
Well, I had the very good and privileged opportunity to have a meeting with the Prime Minister actually last night, and of course this morning, Prime Minister graciously came here to open, to give his opening remarks, at the opening of the forum, and of course we appreciate very much, his vision and also his commitment to advance PNG's cause in economic, social, and welfare development, and certainly in certain priority areas, we stand ready also to work closer together, namely in the area of this trade and investment facilitation that we are already working in that area, including trade facilitation. We inform the Prime Minister that we have, for example, we have this cross-border paperless trade agreement that we would like very much PNG to also join. So that kind of area of work that we can facilitate further, right? And also I mentioned to the Prime Minister in the area of domestic resources mobilization, including fiscal reform, as well as the more specific area of the this fiscal reform, whether taxation reform and so on and so forth. So maybe your question relates within that broader framework, as well as the financing for development. So alternative financing, initiatives. To give you one or two example is, for example, PPP, public-private partnership for infrastructure investment, because we have this network, countries in the region, Asia Pacific. So maybe it would be very useful also for PNG to be more active in that network, so can also learn from the peers in the region, and to showcase, for example, infrastructure projects that are ready to be, I don't know yet, to be offered also to the private investors, not only in this country, but to the region.
Right. Thank you for that. Finally, many of the speakers at this conference today will address connectivity between Asia and the Pacific, both digitally and physically. Looking east, besides China and China's Belt and Road Initiative, which a few Pacific islanders such as Papua New Guinea are already partnered in, I guess, what other relationships would with what other relationships should the Pacific be looking into?
Well, of course, yeah, it is for the countries in the Pacific region to determine, yeah, what would be their priorities area. But of course, many, yeah. But if I may, yeah, I would like to relate that to our theme topic for next year, because we, ESCAP, is a regional commission, yeah. Next year, our theme topic that we are going to have, a theme study, and then we report in our annual commission session is on ocean. Yeah, so the potential of economic, social, and environmental cooperation, regional cooperation on ocean.
Okay.
So I think this is one priority areas. For more regional cooperation, in these particular areas, whether you can also relate that to the business opportunities, and so on and so forth, including infrastructure, sustainable tourism, fisheries. So this is what we see, that more potential, many potential that we can work together within the regional context.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alisjahbana, for your time.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Thank you.